Talk to you.
That'd be nice.
Okay.
Cool. Welcome to another episode of the Warrior Mindset Podcast. I'm your host, Gene, and I'm here today with Aaron.
That is me.
It's you.
I'm ready.
Trying to be dramatic.
Oh, okay.
I don't think I can
Good job.
beat Berman's dramatic.
No.
Because his is pretty dramatic.
Yeah.
I don't think I even need to do anything after that.
No.
Just go into it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let's do that.
Cool.
Okay.
Yeah, so you brought a couple of topics this time.
Yeah.
Why don't you kick us off with what you're thinking there?
For the debrief.
Yeah.
Is it debrief or debrief?
It's French, debrief.
Debrief.
How to be mediocre every day.
Yeah, I don't think that was the original name of...
I got that on lock.
Yeah. I don't think that was the original name of the podcast that I was reading. Let's see.
I don't know, I think it was.
Well, I think it was, or here it is, The 1 Minute Secret to Forming a New Habit.
Got you.
By Christine Carter. And I kind of step back for a second, because there's always a story behind everything, right?
Sure.
I drive my daughter to dance, I realized, about 5 days a week. So we are in the car together at least, let's see, 2 hours for those 5 days going back and forth. Yeah. So we've listened to every single song and radio station that's out there. So finally,
We found the end of Spotify.
we know the end of it. So we actually, I was finally like, let's do something halfway productive, and so
Right.
Yeah,
intro podcasts.
Yeah. And
Good
so
stuff.
The TED Talk dailies are all about 15 minutes or so.
Right.
And a lot of them I just kind of thumbed through and figured that she might not be interested in, but it's like, new habits are things that, we've talked about them before, habits and rituals and things like that. So this looked interesting.
You got to start them somehow.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
And especially when you're trying to get better, and she's 10. I've got a 15, a 13, and a 10-year-old, and they're all doing their different things and trying to get better at them.
Right.
So I was like, okay, let's look at this. But there was something. So basically, the podcast or the TED Talk was basically about if it's kind of like even if you don't or can't be great at something, that shouldn't stop you from doing something.
Absolutely. Right.
And so sometimes if you just work on doing something out of a habit instead of actually, trying to be great at something, then it's okay to be, and the title that I gave you was it's okay to be mediocre, basically. And her thing was like, during the lockdown, this woman like organizes people for a living. And then she found that she couldn't be organized.
It's often the case.
Yeah.
Honestly.
And so, for exercise or running or, brushing your teeth sometimes has been hard, I'm sure, for some people during the pandemic. So anyway, she set a goal of going out and walking or running for like a minute every day.
Okay.
That's her mediocre base. Don't try to be better than that, but definitely don't be worse than that. And, she's like, from that base, I just did it every day, whether I felt like it or not. And some days, she'd go and run like 20 minutes or 15 minutes. But at a minimum, just be mediocre.
Gotcha.
And just do the minute.
I dig that.
And, and when I was listening to it, I was thinking about if your goal is to be 1% better every single day.
That's how you get there, man.
But sometimes you can't even do that 1%.
It's amazing, yep.
Yeah. So, however, if you have that baseline that you go to, and maybe it's your rituals, but maybe it is just this one thing that you do every single day that gets you to a larger goal
Right.
later on.
Absolutely.
It's okay to be mediocre on a day where you're just not feeling it, but you still do something.
It's a cumulative effort. It's
Right.
not single session effort.
Right.
Yeah, I dig that.
Yeah.
I'll have to check that one out. TED Talk, huh?
Yeah.
So, what about the first part here in the description? Resolutions. Do you do resolutions?
I try not to anymore. You're talking about like the New Year's resolutions.
The old standard resolution.
Yeah, and you know, part of it, and I try to do goals for the year. And then when I get to April for my birthday and I realize that I haven't accomplished them, then I consider that my new year, because technically it's my new year,
It's
right?
Chinese New Year.
No,
Right.
it's Aaron Griswold's new
Right.
year, you know. And so sometimes I'll retool, but actually I'm in the middle of retooling my goals for the year because there's some that I've just totally screwed up on.
Right.
And resolutions are usually like that, right?
Yep.
Is that why you're asking?
No, I mean I despise New Year's resolutions. I think they're like you just said. I mean, I think they're destined to fail.
Right.
Because it's like, you know, it's always a big goal, right? And I think big goals are hard. Big goals are hard to attain.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, it's like that for a reason. You know,
Yeah.
if shit's easy to do, it's like not really work. You know, so there you go.
And
so
it's probably
real-
not worth it either.
Right. It's really hard to do. So like,
Yeah.
you usually defeat yourself before you get started. You
Yeah.
know, I mean, I like them in theory. Like, I think in theory, having a big lofty goal and then going after it's fine. But you know, you also have to have the mental strength to then do all the work. You know,
Yeah.
and that's the part that we struggle with. You know, everybody's good at setting goals, right?
Right.
It's
Yeah.
the easy part.
I can set them all day long.
Yeah, and I can't count how many times it's like, you know, people at the gym where it's like, come on.
Yeah.
It's like middle of January, you've already quit, you
Right.
know? Like, it's just how it goes.
So what's the difference between a resolution and a goal then?
I think that there fundamentally probably isn't a difference.
All right. But, okay, so...
But I think what happens is you talk about a New Year's resolution. You're like, I'm going to quit smoking.
I resolve to.
I resolve to quit smoking.
Right.
And it's like, okay. And that's usually it, right? But if you're like, I'm going to set this goal of not smoking by this time, by, 3 months before that time, I'm going to, I don't know, I don't smoke, but like I'm going to only smoke 1 pack a month or something. And then
Right.
3 months before that,
Actually have a plan.
yeah, you're going to break that plan down into the smaller pieces, and then you're going to execute smaller pieces
Right.
to a goal, much like you'd approach, starting a business or saving for a car or whatever you're doing. You wouldn't just be like, I'm going to save for a car. I'm going to go find $20,000, like it's not how it works. You are going to do it piece by piece. You're going to put $100 a week away or $100 a month away. And then
Right. There is a plan behind it.
yeah, I think that's the difference between maybe a resolution and a goal, although fundamentally maybe they're the same. I just despise the, hey, tomorrow is going to be a new year, so I'm going to immediately do this thing.
Right.
It's not going to work.
Yeah. No, and I used to tell people that I'm going to, everybody starts their goals or resolutions on January 1st, but, mine were kind of like I start thinking about them in November, and so in December...
Yeah, you
ahead
start
and
building a little plan.
Yeah, my wife always says, when it comes to like, or she doesn't diet, but when people say that they're going to diet, but they're going to start on Monday. And today is Saturday. And
Yeah.
She's like, why are you waiting to start? Like, why is there that
Yeah.
trigger point day so
Yeah.
you can, shovel in everything for the next
Make
2
it harder on
days?
yourself?
Exactly.
Doesn't make sense.
I want to make sure that instead of being like 190 pounds, I'm 200 pounds. So like the weight gain really looks a lot
it looks
better.
really good
Yeah,
at the end.
Exactly.
It doesn't make sense to me.
No, but I see resolutions as something I've said for a long time, which is hopefully is the worst 4-letter word in the English dictionary.
Sure.
I used to say when I was teaching, I'd say that to my students, and I'd tell them that, and they'd look at me like, okay, you're an idiot because hopefully isn't a 4-letter word.
Yeah.
Well, I look at it as one of the 4-letter words that I will not let my kids say, and because a resolution, I resolve to do this, is the same thing as going, I'm going to hope, wish, or pray.
Mm-hmm.
That this is going to happen, but I'm not going to have anything behind it that actually moves it along. And I think maybe that's the difference between a resolution and a goal, that a goal has some type of plan.
Let's go with that.
Okay.
I mean, that's fine. I'm not even looking up the definitions, but
yeah.
I think we're on to something. And you were talking about the 1% better every day thing. Like,
yeah.
I mean, yeah, she's exactly right. Motivation is only going to get you so far.
Right.
And what we're talking about, I think, is creating discipline.
Yeah. Yeah.
A lot of people don't like that word. A word means a lot of different things to a lot of different people. Mm-hmm. It can have a negative connotation. I did this thing. This person didn't like this thing, so they disciplined me. Whatever. Or,
sure.
I'm going to try to do this thing. I didn't do it. I have to punish myself somehow.
Yeah.
That's not really what we're talking about. Motivation is like, it's what gets you inspired in something. It's what gets you going. You know, it's the New Year's resolution.
Yeah.
And I think that's why they fail oftentimes, because, you have motivation, midnight,
yeah,
before January 1st.
Right.
But then January 15th, your motivation's gone.
Yeah.
Because you don't remember that mindset you were in, or whatever conversation you were having, or conversation with yourself you were having, you don't remember that, and so your motivation is gone. So what do you have left? And I like what she's saying is, well, what you would have left is a tiny habit you've created, and from that tiny habit you can build upon it. That is absolutely the 1% better every day mindset, right? That's how it works. Habit, discipline, I don't know. They could probably be interchangeable,
Well,
I mean,
I think because you have the discipline to do something every single day, which is a habit. So they
intermingle.
Yes,
you can have a bad habit.
Yes, you can.
But good habits are good.
Right.
I mean, when it comes to that, and you can call it discipline, and everyone will be impressed by you.
Right.
But I like the way she kind of broke that. She's breaking that down in terms of trying to create little habits, or her mediocre level.
Yeah.
Which is like, this is the thing I'm going to do every day that I won't go below, but it's really like not much.
Right.
So I can do that easily. It's what I can do without effort, really. And I will get up and I will get moving. And that's a bottom rung level effort I'm going to put out.
Yeah, and I don't even think that that's a routine at that point, but like I said, it is kind of a baseline. And she kind of goes into in her talk, she talks about how, like, if you go into this baseline thing, the 1 minute of running that you plan on doing, but then you want to make it grandiose and everything, and I'm going to run for an hour.
Run a marathon.
And guess what? You're going to fail.
Yep.
But if you go out there and do that 1 minute, maybe that 1 minute turns into something more. Maybe on the next day you're like, okay, I have the time, I have the energy.
Right.
I'm just going to go ahead and continue this. But sometimes, it's the, I guess also like being an addict. I had a friend that's celebrating 18 years of sobriety.
Okay.
I don't know what he was like before then, but apparently it's a very good thing.
Okay.
And
probably.
And he's a good dude. And every single day, I'm sure that, maybe not by now, maybe not by 18 years, but getting into that every single day, you've got to, your baseline is, I've got to think not to do that. Mm-hmm. So, so that I can get to,
right. It's got to be hard.
18 minutes, 18 days, 18 months, 18 years. And yeah, so just having that one thing that you do for a little bit, maybe it turns into something more. Mm-hmm. And then, yeah, you're right. You get to the, I'm getting better 1%
It's a little bit, yeah. And after 6 months, it's like, it's 10%.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
But that adds up, man.
Yeah.
I mean, if it were money, it'd be awesome.
Yeah. Well, it's the Malcolm Gladwell 15,000 hours, or is it 15,000 hours?
I think it's 10,000, but yeah.
10,000 hours.
Something like that.
Yeah. 15 years, 10,000
Yes,
hours.
there you go.
It's a cumulative that,
Yep.
and just like yesterday, my daughter was asking me, is driving hard? I'm like, well, after 30 years of it, I don't think so.
Yeah.
But I'm watching, my son,
Yeah.
it's got to be hard because I described every single thing that I was looking at and everything that was, everything I had to pay attention to. And I just,
That's right.
like I do right now, stream of consciousness thinking, but showing her all these things, and I think she just shut up at some point. She didn't want to hear it anymore. And
You're
I'm like,
scaring me.
Yeah, at first it's hard, but then at a certain point,
Yeah.
you just do it because you've had that baseline.
Right.
You've built
You're
up
not-
to it.
Mhm.
You've gotten 1% better every single day.
Mm-hmm. You've built little habits to help you
Right.
do things.
Exactly.
Yeah, we could talk about driving. Yeah, I'm sure you've done the thing where you drive a route you've driven all the time,
Yeah.
and then you get there and you don't remember driving the route.
Yes.
Like, that's definitely that habit-based thing. And if you can, speaking of fitness, if you can get there with your fitness,
Yeah.
to where it's just like, I always
think
do
about
this and I don't even think about it, then you're in a good place.
Yeah.
Do
Agreed.
what?
I said agreed. I agree with you, damn it.
Yes. All right. We need to listen to that TED Talk. Go check that out.
Yeah.
Link in the show notes. All right. The next up was a cool little Medium article that I came about. 4 things that reveal a lot about a person. Cool shit.
For each one.
Yeah. So, 4 things that reveal a lot about a person. It's interesting because we're always trying to size people up, right?
Yeah.
Let's say you're going to go into business with someone. You got to kind of make sure that they match
Sure.
with you in some way enough, right? Are you going to get married? You need to try to make sure you're compatible.
Yeah.
You're going to be friends with someone. You got to make sure you're going to be compatible on some level. It's not going to work.
Right.
So we're always kind of trying to just kind of size people up. We're like, I got to figure this person out. How much of myself do I give to this person? How much do I let this person in?
Right.
Is it safe to let this person in my car? All these different levels. We're always doing that. Anyway, these were some cool things that reveal a lot of intel about a person. How they react to people who are better than them. Or criticism.
Yeah.
Any experience with watching people, or maybe even yourself?
Yeah.
I have.
Okay. I was going to say a universal way to look at this, but something that I can definitely say that maybe is a little more relatable than me talking about people that I know. Tom Brady. Tom Brady. I hated his guts. Peyton Manning. I hated Peyton Manning's guts. Going to the University of South Carolina.
What did Peyton Manning do to you? Oh, he went to a different school.
He went to Tennessee, and every single year
they beat us.
They'd just destroy us, and it was Peyton and the sportscasters couldn't get enough of talking about Peyton.
Right,
Manning.
they loved him.
Right,
his old bucket head.
Exactly, and same thing.
Which, by the way, that's what we used to call him from the state of South Carolina. We called
right,
Peyton Manning bucket head.
And then same thing with Tom Brady. As I've gotten older, and with experience, I look at people.
Oh, you respect him now.
I respect them. I respect them because of how both of those two people, whatever the Spygates and things like that,
sure.
Yeah. But how those two people went about preparing for a game, preparing themselves, but
right.
preparing for...
Right, he's incredibly disciplined.
Yeah.
In what he eats and how he takes care of his sleep. And
exactly.
Yeah, and it's
right.
down to his family. Yeah.
So when Tom Brady gets drunk, everybody goes crazy because, oh my God, he's drunk.
It's like, he deserves it.
Yeah.
He can do that. He can get away with it.
I have an admission. I have been drunk before, and I've probably looked like Tom Brady.
You've been drunk before?
Oh, I wasn't throwing the Super Bowl
That was funny.
thing from boat to boat because neither of those things are mine.
Imagine if they dropped that in the water, though.
I know. I was just watching them.
Well,
well, he throws pretty well.
True, and Gronk catches pretty well.
And Gronk catches pretty well. So yeah. Anyway, so
right.
But yeah, when it's come to criticism, I've had trouble before.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm a little bit better with it now, depending on the day and the person it's coming from.
True.
But yeah, if we all have egos.
Yep.
And
yep.
Yeah, I think 20 years ago, somebody was better than me at somebody. That's when you go, oh, that person sucks.
It's probably a jerk.
Yeah, exactly. And then now I try to look at it as, wow, they're pretty good at that.
Yeah.
I hope. But yes, I've been the recipient of that before too, and I've seen how people react to it, and it's when you have somebody that complains about other people who actually do a better job than them, then maybe that first person should be looking at themselves, and you should probably not be around them.
Right. One of the things that this one speaks to me is excuses. Like, people they'll start to make excuses when they're around, like they're trying to accomplish something, and they're around someone who has already accomplished it. They'll begin to, or at least in my experience, when I've talked to them, they've made excuses for why they're not there yet, or they'll apologize for why they're not there yet. It just tells me a lot about like their belief in themselves and where they are in their journey. It just like lets me know a lot about like, well, you're kind of in the middle. You're kind of like, you're still working pretty hard.
Right.
Apologizing. Well, I'm sorry. I'm not. I'm sorry. Like, they're trying to do something, and they're like, I'm sorry. And it's like,
who are you apologizing?
Yeah,
to,
what's going on?
Do you mean in like you're a coach, teacher, or sensei, and they're in a
yeah.
role? Okay.
Let's go with that. Yeah,
Okay.
I mean, I've seen it in different scenarios too. It lets me know like that they're not at the point where they're doing it necessarily for themselves yet. Maybe they're doing it for me. They're doing it for coach. They're doing it for the team or whatever that is. You know what I mean? And then there's the people that make excuses that are like, well, my foot has an injury, or like, I'm not wearing the right shoes,
Right.
Or whatever it is. And it's like, okay, well, now I know that you have trouble like owning your shortcomings.
Right.
So it's going to be extra hard to get you to overcome those problems that you might have, or not problems, they're just things you got to practice or train or work on or study or whatever it is. You know what I mean? Like, oh, I was going to take this test, but the internet was down.
Right.
And it's like, well, really? I mean, the
whole internet. No, but yeah.
Stuff like that. That's what, when I read that, it kind of popped in my head. Then there's the other side of criticism, like how do people take criticism? I've been in different scenarios where I've not taken it well. Definitely. And that's a hard pill to swallow sometimes, people giving you criticism. Yeah. To sort of extricate yourself from their criticism, to the point where you can learn from it.
Well, it
always feels like an attack.
It does, because because you're always the hero of your own story,
right?
And you're never the bad guy in your own story.
Oh, never. Yeah, right.
And so when somebody criticizes you, they are calling you the bad guy of your own story.
Like.
Exactly.
Yeah.
and that's an ego thing.
Yeah.
Again. But and you know what? I mean, as much as you can try to have less of an ego about those things and go, take some of those. You take that in sometimes, and if you can, it's not internalize it, but look at it objectively to what they're seeing. Maybe that's I hope that is the point of criticism. But at the same time, you know what? Some people are just wrong when they give you the criticism because they don't understand, the situation. Maybe if the criticism is warranted,
sure,
and they understand the situation. But if a random stranger is criticizing you for something,
well, that's just
I know, but it happens every single day.
There are levels.
Right?
Yes, there's levels of that.
I mean, try to go online and that
The famous one in like martial arts is there's a meme with it's like a big fat dude with like sitting in an armchair with like pizza on his lap, and he's like, I would have totally like thrown the elbow,
Right. Yeah.
It's like, sure, buddy.
Sure.
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
You should have just caught that pass.
That's right.
I'm sure he was not trying to catch that pass at all. That's not what he wants.
No, he's definitely throwing the game.
Yeah. It's like that kind of criticism is just
Right.
fun.
If you have any criticism for us,
keep it to yourself.
Keep it to yourself.
Just send it to him. Ding, ding. All right. How true they are to their word, even with the small things.
Yeah. That's I've had a lot of people lie to me.
Mm-hmm.
And it is those small things where they lie.
Mm-hmm.
That you're like,
right.
Oh, it's okay. It was just and the next thing $10,000 later, or
Whoa.
10.
There's a story there.
Well, yeah, or 10 years later.
Jesus.
Yeah.
10K is killing amount. I'm just kidding. I wouldn't do that. I would not do that. I mean, it is. I live by the maxim of the way you do anything is the way you do everything.
Yeah.
Right. And I don't always get it right. It doesn't mean I'm always. I say that. It doesn't mean I'm like I do everything right.
Yeah.
It's not even what I think people read that into a lot of stuff. Like anyway, it's a different story.
Yeah.
But like, I mean, the way you do anything is the way you do everything.
Well,
like the way you prepare for this, the way you invite someone over to hang out, and the way you do that, like that's how you do everything.
Right.
If you're not going to take time to do the small thing, you're going to fuck up the big thing.
Yeah.
I mean, you just are. It's just how it works because you're lacking detail or whatever it is, or effort.
No,
whatever it is.
The small things always add up. And kind of to yours, I saw a quote the other day was, the way that you live your life every day is the way that. The way that you live your day, or the way you go about your day.
Yeah, it was when you posted.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Bling.
Good job.
I'm
I'm
bad at this.
Let me give you some criticism.
Yes. Hold on. The way you live your days is the way you live your life.
I dig it.
Thank you, Annie Dillard.
I dig it. Either way, you want to parse that one. It's true.
Right.
How many times have you been told by someone, I will meet you at X, and then 3 minutes before X, I'm not going to make it? How many times has it happened? A lot. You can't even count. It happens to all of us. That's a pet peeve of mine. That drives me crazy.
Me too.
I will probably not invite you anywhere again after one of those.
That's a pet peeve of mine too, and that happens in business personally.
Oh, business a lot.
Yeah.
Especially nowadays. I've been in business with one of my businesses for a long time, going on 20 years, which that's crazy. But it used to not be like that.
Yeah.
Even 10 years, it was like people were like punctual. Mm-hmm. I just feel like in the past, I mean, now with the COVID shit, it's like nobody gives a crap about anything. Deadlines, whatever.
It's the excuse to everything too.
But yeah, it just seems like about 10 years ago or so, it was like in business, like deadlines were important.
Yeah.
Now it's like they're like soft goals. Like I was just working with a contractor. It was like, hey, it's the day that things due.
Right.
Where's the thing?
Yeah.
He's like, oh, well, I got time this weekend. I was like,
yeah, no.
I don't think you understand what the deadline meant. Like, I talked to you 3 days ago. Like, it's due today.
But remember, almost all deadlines are arbitrary too.
Arbitrary.
Yeah, we've had that discussion a long time ago.
When
we were talking about projects that we weren't.
What is the quote from Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy? It was like, I love deadlines. I love the whooshing sound they make as they go by.
Exactly.
But like,
So true.
it's one thing. Listen, it's one thing if like you're working
Yeah.
and you're communicating,
Right.
and like you invite someone somewhere and they're like straight up like, I don't know if I'm going to be able to be there, and then they let you know plenty of time ahead.
Yes.
The night before.
Right.
Not going to happen.
Right.
So and so. Cool, man. Thank you for being an adult. It's the like, where are you?
Right.
like you're like, I'm here. Where are you? And
Right.
it's like, they don't. I was just talking to someone yesterday morning. They said that they made an appointment with, or a date or whatever, with some friends. Mm-hmm. Her and her husband went to the restaurant, and the people just didn't show up.
Damn.
And they were like 30 minutes in, they were like, God, I hope they're okay. And they're like texting them, nothing. Tried to call them, didn't answer.
Yeah.
And then like she saw them 2 days later, and they were like, yeah, so and so happened.
Yeah.
And I was like,
Yeah.
what?
That takes a lot of effort for two people not to show up also.
Yeah, it's like,
or
what?
communicate. Yeah.
That's shitty, man.
Yeah. My wife, my kids, I used to say this with clients too, and our contractors and the people that work, with us and for us. The one thing that I feel like I've had as a constant in my life, at least for the past 15, 20 years, is if I have the information first, I can work around it.
Oh, right. Of course. I think anybody.
Right.
Yeah, man.
I mean, I've said this recently in business, and
Yeah.
I won't say where, but there was an apology of, like, hey, sorry that,
Right.
We canceled 2-3 times. I'm like, that's okay, but when I am basing everything else that I'm doing, and whether it's, that one night,
Right.
or like I have a campaign that I'm working on, and
Right.
this one thing I've been holding out is like, this is the thing that's going to start it off.
I need it.
I need it, or
Right.
I need to know that, hey, we're just not going to do it,
Right.
so that I can go and find the, something else to jump off with.
Right.
And so,
Why is this so hard?
But so I'm not even complaining about that. I just like as long as I know what the circumstances are, or I take that back. I don't even care about the circumstances.
Right. Let me give you a different scenario. This is something that just popped in my head, and you might think I'm petty, and I'm genuinely bringing this up because I want to know if I am or not. I will take this criticism well. So I was helping a friend, and I brought over a drill, and we were doing the project, and my drill got destroyed. I'm perfectly fine. Like I'm not literally not telling you this holding a grudge.
Sure.
It's just something that bothers me a little bit.
Yeah.
I'm perfectly fine with that. Like I
can tell.
Like,
Go ahead.
like I volunteered. Shit happens. I'm not like I'm not gonna stop being your friend because you broke my drill. Like
Right.
It's like shit happens. But nothing was said.
Yeah.
And we're still close. Whatever. Well, I had another. This was a few years ago. Friend asked me to help him with a project, and I brought my power. What the hell's it called? Power washer. And we were using it. And working on his project broke my power washer. 2 weeks later, there was a brand new power washer on my back porch.
Right.
Like he came by while I was at work and just put it there and wrote a note and said, "Sorry, bro."
Right.
And I was like, fuck, that was cool. Like, I didn't expect that.
No.
And I don't expect this guy to buy me a new drill. I honestly don't care. But it's like those things like that makes me think, like,
the acknowledgement.
Which one of, but that's my point. First off, tell me, am I petty?
No, but it obviously still gets to you. And maybe it gets to you because you have had the exact
I've had
opposite.
an expectation set by someone.
Yeah.
But here's the thing, though. If I need something, or if I want to really confide some information that means a lot to me, which friend do you think I'm going to call first?
Right.
And that's just like, and I always want to be that first friend.
Right. That was rhetorical, right?
Where's my drill, Aaron?
I don't know. No,
It's just a scenario, and I was like, it just popped in my head about doing the little things.
Yeah.
Or I mean, true to your word. It's not even. I mean, the guy never said like, "Well, come over and help me. If something happens, I'll replace everything."
Right.
It's not even an unspoken rule between people, but like,
well,
it's just like, huh?
I had a neighbor that borrowed my power washer, and
What's with the power washer?
I don't know. And this thing is fairly old, I guess.
Oh yeah, mine was old.
Yeah.
Like I was surprised it worked in the first place.
Exactly. And
same with my drill.
While he was moving it around, the handle on one side broke, and he texted me and he said, "Hey, I'm sorry, this broke.
Right.
What kind? I'll go and find a handle for it and everything."
Whatever. Yeah.
And I was like, "Dude, it's okay."
Throw it in the garbage when you're done. Yeah.
When he returned it, he had spent, I don't know how long, but he had gotten like a metal brace and like, drilled into it to where I think it's more reinforced now than it was before.
But see, it's stuff like that.
Yeah.
And it doesn't have to be like, a power tool. I mean, it can just be like anything,
Yeah.
You do anything. You borrow someone's car for a trip, wash it, change the oil.
Right. Yes, we're going to come into that with our kids.
Yeah, you know what I mean? Like,
using the car, borrowing a car.
You go camping, you pack out what you packed in.
Right.
Like that's how it works. But people don't do that though.
Yeah.
They have. There's a reason why you say if you pack it in, pack it out. It's because those motherfuckers will leave it there.
This is true.
Like
I don't need that anymore. I used it.
Yeah, it's a fucking wrap. It's the wrapper from that candy bar.
Walk away. Everything's disposable. See you later.
Yeah.
No, that's and that is I believe that is an extension of the small things like that even if even if somebody doesn't if it's unspoken, but small things like that.
Yep.
Those of course lead to bigger things.
They do. They add up too.
And yes, it's I mean, who would back to this thing right here. Who would you rather be stuck in a foxhole with?
That's right. Absolutely, man.
Right. And I'm gonna say it's the guy with the power washer, not the power or the drill. No offense to whoever the heck that was.
Right. It doesn't matter. Yeah. All right. The things they say and the words they choose. Mm-hmm. In parentheses, all words have an origin. The things they say and the words they choose. That was, kind of like. So the word, I don't want to make this like a psychology thing, but like we tend to gaslight each other a lot,
Can
especially
you define that?
Especially as friends. You've heard it and you don't like it. I actually don't like the term, but
no, but I've heard you say it, but I've also seen it out there. This people gaslighted this thing, and what does that mean to you? So
like. Making you think something is not the way it is when it is, right? So like, I'm trying to think of an example, like the term "just saying." You know what I mean? You can say any vile.
I'm not racist, however,
terrible thing,
right?
Yeah, but just saying, or whatever. And it's like, well, you just said it. Like words have meaning.
Yeah.
Like, or just kidding. Kidding.
Yeah.
Your feet are ugly. Just kidding. You got gnarly toenails, whatever it is. I mean, like, I'm just thinking of like not really important things, but I mean, we do it a lot to people. And things have meaning.
All right.
I think you should just be thoughtful in how you communicate with people, and especially your friends.
Yeah. Well, we talked before about whether on podcasts and also in real life. I've had friends that long time that I love that only talk negatively. It feels like
absolutely, and that's the other side of this.
Right, I can have the greatest time with them, but at the same time, like only talk about how the world just craps on them, and then I can have friends that I can also have friends that only talk about how positive everything is and how everything's great. Mm-hmm. And both of those things are a little bit jarring sometimes. But I'm going to tend now in my life to where, again, maybe age, but I feel like being around people that are positive, being around, and you can be pissed off at something, but being around people that are positive, being around people that take other people into consideration, people, I mean, all those, like, what you would ideally, for me, it always goes back to what I would like to teach my kids, and I'm not perfect at it, but I can show examples, to my kids of...
Yeah, you can set the example.
Right.
That's actually how they learn.
Right.
You can tell them to do shit all the time, but, it's like if you're always telling your kid to clean his room.
Yeah.
But you don't ever clean the rest of the house.
Yeah, let's not get into that one.
But I'm just... but, like, what lesson is that? What lesson is he learning?
Right.
You know what I mean? He's like, well, do what I say and not what I do.
Yeah.
And that builds resentment.
Yes, it does. And hypocrisy is a hard thing to...
and that's what I'm saying, like, words have meaning, and that goes back to the other one, too, about doing what you said you'd do.
Yeah.
Right, which is like, you're like, we're going to do this on Friday. And then Friday comes, and you're like, yeah, let's do it later.
Right.
But like...
It's not even Friday, it's like, the time has passed for you to do it.
Yeah, what happened? What happened? Why didn't you do it?
Yeah.
Well, I watched Netflix. I mean, like, whatever it is. Like, that has meaning as well. Another one...
Circumstances, too, do. Yeah.
Yeah. From the article, they bring up a point of when someone speaks, how often do they say I versus we?
I am not going to even talk about somebody that we.
Yeah, I
know.
But I'm serious. Like in often not like what they say, but how they say it too. Like. And it's like the circumstances around the stories they're telling, I
was about to say I again. I was trying to figure out how to.
Not making you self-conscious.
Yeah, I am.
It's a podcast. We can talk about ourselves.
Okay, you can edit that out, right? I don't remember if it was high school or college or somewhere. I was writing an essay, and I think I kept saying, "I think this."
Yeah.
And whoever that professor was said, in an essay, especially like this, take I out of it. And take I think out of it. God, this might be the same high school teacher that I've been talking about forever. But take I think, because you know what? You're writing the words, so we're going to assume that that is what you think.
Right.
So you don't have to say I. Yeah. You don't say, in conclusion, I wanted to show you... It's your words.
Yeah.
So take I out of it. Take...
Right. Entertain me at least.
Right. And so after that, again, whenever I have listened to other people talk, if it goes in that direction, and it's I think this, I think that, like, it's one thing to say, I heard this, but I think this, and I'm thinking of one or 12 or 50 conversations in particular.
Yeah.
I think this, like, I get it. I assumed that that's what you were thinking.
Right.
Because you said it.
Yes. Yes.
But to have to state many times in the same conversation that I think this.
Right.
You're only talking out of, I don't know, it or the ego. I will always get these things wrong, but you're only talking from one place.
I think it's the ego.
And you're not really taking a holistic, global view on things. And that will make you a very lonely person, I think.
I think it will.
I think.
Probably. So here's the I think here's the crux of what we're getting at there, which is like, how many times have you have a conversation with someone and you can tell that they're not really listening to you, that they listened to part of it, and now that they're in their own brain formulating what they're going to say to you next.
Isn't that daily?
Like, I mean, do they listen to what you have to say and ask about it? Or are they continuing to put their thoughts in front of yours? You know what I mean? More so about the how they do it, but like, I think that's something too.
I'm a talker. Sometimes I have trouble listening because listening is an art. But when I really feel like I should listen to that person because I'm either not understanding them or what they're saying is important, or whether it's important to me or to them.
Right, which is really
right
the most important part here. Like, is it something they're really into?
Right. And again, back to kids, wife, whomever, if they're talking about something, and there are definitely times where I have to go, oh, I better pay attention. Because
this is important to them.
This is important to them, and and I don't ask my wife and kids. I do not get that right 100% of the time.
No, I don't either.
Nobody
get
does.
It wrong a lot.
But I feel like I still continue to try to learn how to listen to people.
There you go. What else can you do?
Right, but yes, the people that even as a talker that I get most annoyed with are the people that they have something ready to go right away, and the truth is not that many people are that quick-witted.
No.
If they have something,
think about it.
Boom, ready to go. I'm like, wow, they're incredibly smart. Or boom, they were never listening to you in the first place.
That happens a lot more often than we think.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's why a lot. Like, I'm sort of obsessed right now with when I talk to people, like trying to make sure that we are understanding each other, because I'm sort of like, I just don't think anyone ever understands anyone else ever. Like, that's just how I feel. Like,
we can't.
Like, we're just not communicating. Like, it's just not happening. Simply because of that. Like whatever words you say, like, they're words, and I interpret them based on what I think. You know what I mean? Never what you think. And I don't know that that's possible, but these concepts and things, and you're basically just leaving feeling okay enough that we've communicated.
Sure.
I'm just like, how do you communicate super clearly? Complex things. Easy shit. It's like, hey, move that pencil. Like, even that. But I don't know where I'm going with that. I don't know where I'm going with that. Other than it is annoying when you can tell someone is just waiting to respond.
I was about to respond.
I'm sorry.
But that's because you wouldn't shut up. And that's probably what's going through somebody's head.
Sure.
Finish talking so I can talk.
Mm-hmm.
Doing podcasts and also doing interviews, which you and I have done a lot of those over the years, that, again, listening is an art. And so I've done podcasts to where, like, read the question, the person answered, I go, okay, next question.
Right, you didn't even
listen.
Yeah. Because you're worried about how you're going to say the next question.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But somebody who's a good interviewer or a good podcast, and
it's a skill.
It's a skill because you adapt to whatever that other person is saying. Mm-hmm. You're listening to them, and you might go and talk around that or on that subject, around that subject, away from that subject.
Sure.
But you've listened to what they've said, and that leads you to the next thought, as opposed to just saying what you want to say.
Right. It's a much better
so
podcast.
they're yes, exactly.
Yeah.
And so I feel that when you and I started to do these, the first time that, like, I had diarrhea of the mouth. I mean, I still do, but it's just me. But I think I even told you, like, I want to pause and listen and hear what you have to say. And
right.
And I'm finding this in other podcasts I'm doing, that even go and, even if I'm the one being interviewed, that I want to go and ask the question
Absolutely.
Back to somebody, so that it is interactive and it's not one way. And so not only for podcasts, but then relate that to a normal conversation.
It's important.
It is.
It's connection.
Right.
Yeah. I don't know. We got way off of the topic of that one.
I don't understand how.
Maybe. but it's all still relevant, I think.
Yeah.
All right. How they treat people who have nothing to offer them.
Ooh.
That's a fancy one.
Yeah.
I mean, that's like, well, no shit. You know, the article has the most obvious sign. They're super kind and ingratiating, or they're total jerks to everyone around them.
Yeah.
It's like,
Exactly.
is there a medium? I think I'm kind of in the medium.
I'm in the medium too.
Yeah, I think most of us are.
And sometimes you can get in trouble for being in the middle.
Yeah, maybe.
Because yes, you're super ingratiating, and so the person that has nothing to offer them, you know, thinks that they actually care. That's probably not the case.
Right.
Potentially.
Right.
And then if you're totally dismissive to somebody,
Yes.
if you're totally dismissive to somebody who has nothing to offer you, then
You're probably a jerk.
you're probably a jerk. But somewhere,
Number 4 is pretty obvious.
yeah, yeah, and I've definitely seen it, and I'm sure that
Yeah, I mean, it's like the homeless guy, like,
right,
conundrum, where it's like, I don't really want to give this guy $5,
right,
but he probably needs it, but, so,
yeah, and
like, what do? You just ignore him, or
Right.
you, like, lie to him?
What does he have to offer me?
Yeah,
Absolutely
nothing.
nothing.
No.
But then,
But there's a difference between, like not making eye contact because you don't want to give him money
Right.
versus going, "Puh, you're a homeless piece of crap."
Right.
There's a huge difference. And I've been walking down the street with someone who has essentially reacted that way.
yeah,
Which is like, they should all be like, round up and put in a hole. It's like, whoa,
damn, dude.
I'm not the most empathetic person
Yeah.
with this guy's plight, but I don't think we should round them all up and put them in a hole.
Right.
Like, that's probably a little extreme.
Yeah, but at the same time, one of my missions in life right now isn't to save everybody.
Is it putting people in holes?
Well, no,
Oh.
no. This is the opposite of
Okay.
the whole thing.
Gotcha. Yeah, my mission in life is not to save all humanity.
Right. But, I mean,
Maybe it should be.
I think I've been in all three of those
I think so,
places, like,
What does that say
just
about
leave
me?
alone. Well, yeah.
Am I bipolar?
But now, like, if I have given money to somebody, whether it is, a homeless person, whether it's, buying, another or a military person's meal or something like that, it's been at my discretion and on my terms because
Right.
of, something that was, they may not know that they give any, or they're, where are we going with this?
I don't know. Where are you going?
There may,
I'm listening actively.
they have nothing to offer me.
Right. No.
However, or I guess on the surface, but if I'm helping somebody just in a small way, then maybe it's offering something back to me that again on the surface you wouldn't see that. I don't know. You can criticize me all you want because I don't know what I'm saying.
Well, here's the
right
thing
now
with
on
these.
that.
I don't like necessarily just straight up judging people, right?
Right.
And I think you have a lot to lose if that's how you walk around in the world, is just straight up judging the hell out of everybody.
Yeah.
You got to take people at face value. I think the whole point of this stuff is like we're doing these things subconsciously. Mm-hmm. I mean, I don't care how awesome of a human being you are, you're still judging people.
Yes.
It's the action you take with it, right? All I'm saying is like these are good. This type of stuff is good skill to know what you're dealing with, right? It keeps you from being completely naive and not protecting yourself. That's why it's important. I don't think you want to use it like, I'm going to make a snap judgment about this guy and I'm never going to talk to him again.
Right.
That's probably bad. Like you just depends
on
on what they did, but like for the most part, these aren't really huge issues. Like someone doesn't listen very well. It doesn't mean they're a total asshole.
Right.
It just means that they have problems or they're like self-centered a little bit.
Yeah.
But you can use that information down the line just to know like, well, I should probably call this other person first. You know, like
Yeah.
like we said earlier.
Well, and back to having nothing to offer somebody. I mean, the truth is, I don't feel like there's anybody out there that's actually like that. You just don't know that they have anything to offer you.
Right.
Whether it is somebody that is on the street, like.
Right, you're also
I've learned some wisdom from some people that live on the streets.
Oh, sure.
Before,
yeah, don't touch the homeless guy. You remember that?
Yes, I do. Yes, I do. But you just because somebody you don't perceive them as having value to you. You have no idea about anything that person has been through.
Nope.
Thinks, does, and
or has had done to them.
Right. Well, yeah, that too. But so when you're thinking about the value that you could get back, like if your perceived value is what opportunity can they bring me on a economic basis? Maybe not. But
I know people like that though. I know people that are like
that are not homeless. Yes.
that that are always sort of sizing everyone up for what sort of value they can get out of them. Yeah. And then they clearly rank and classify you based on what
they will gravitate towards the people that can provide
I know people that are like that, and I don't want to be around those people.
No.
That's not really my cup of tea,
No. But I think that, for the most part that yes, you're somewhere in the middle, and so so you're not going to be that person, but you're not going to gravitate towards that person either. And
that's okay.
That's okay. It's okay to be mediocre.
Oh my God. All right. How to Turn Your Dissatisfaction into Action podcast by Yvonne Aki-Sawyerr. I don't know how to pronounce all that. So
Yvonne
What's that one? You brought that one. That's another TED Talk?
It's another TED Talk. And it's from 2019. And I believe that this person...
Wow, so she is the mayor of Freetown in Africa.
Sierra Leone.
So the mayor of Sierra Leone after rebel invasion and Ebola epidemic. Holy shit.
Yeah.
Okay, continue.
And part of her story is that she was from Sierra Leone, from Freetown. She was living and working in London. And stop touching me.
Sorry.
Okay. And she, I guess there was civil war, and she was seeing it on TV, and she and her friends, either from Sierra Leone or people she worked with, basically they started a foundation to help people who were displaced by the civil war.
Okay.
And that was the first time she got involved, but she didn't. What I understand is she didn't leave London. And then in 2014, when the Ebola outbreak happened, she actually left London. She left her husband, well, not like left them, but left her husband and kids, but to go and help. And then she ended up, being part of this nationwide program to help plan how to deal with the Ebola, because that was like the epicenter, I guess. And then she ended up becoming mayor of Freetown, Sierra Leone. So, but what she talks about is that the reason that she did something was she had this dissatisfaction with how things were being handled. And she said that with I think it was with the Civil War that she called one of the 800 numbers or whatever it would be in the UK to find out how to help, because there crisis hotlines set up.
Right.
And she was like, the people that she was talking to knew nothing about it. They were just there to take money. And she said that's nothing on the people that were there.
Sure.
It was just, she didn't feel like her dissatisfaction came from knowing that people who were giving money, that money was probably not going to be used in the best way in order to rectify the situation.
Okay.
So she had a dissatisfaction with that.
Okay.
And then with the Ebola outbreak, she's like, fine, here's an event that I was already dissatisfied about how things happened before. But she said that, like, after the Civil War, when that died down, then the everything got a lot better in Sierra Leone, or to a certain amount, to where now, what was that, like 15 years later, the infrastructure couldn't handle that many people living there, and there were waste issues. She said like 30% of the waste was actually going to where it should be, and the rest they were living in.
Ew.
Yeah.
So it's rough.
So the dissatisfaction of how things were, this like, and I took note of the first thing she said, which was dissatisfaction can be a constant presence in the background, or it can be sudden, triggered by events. So hers was sudden, triggered by events.
Right.
But she also, I think, was going into, it's something that's always been in the back of my head, that things weren't being run correctly.
Right.
So, eventually that's why she ran for mayor, and
right.
In order to try to put her spin on things, in order to make it. So that's a very specific instance, but that's also a very altruistic instance, I guess.
Yeah, absolutely.
However, on a daily basis, we're in the United States. We don't have, or maybe we don't notice things going on like that.
Well, that's an extreme.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, we're not necessarily going to have a rebel invasion.
We're not going to have a viral outbreak anywhere, right? Like Ebola.
Shit.
Yeah.
But, I mean, it's the ultimate, like, put your money where your mouth is.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, that's pretty strong.
Stop complaining about something and start doing something.
Yeah, I mean, like, if you have a problem with local politics, run for office.
Right. Yeah, we have a friend who's doing that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And it's the quintessential, like, you're bitching about the president, but you didn't vote.
Right.
You're like, I don't know that we can have a conversation.
Right.
I don't know where this is going to go.
Well, yes.
Like...
I think you're not allowed... In my mind, you're not allowed to have that conversation.
I mean, yeah, you can. Why didn't you vote? Like,
right.
I don't know how many times I've talked to people like that, where it's like, why are you bitching? You could have voted. I mean,
right.
And they'll say like, well, my vote wouldn't have counted. Well, then you should probably work to make it count. I mean,
right.
And you can have a voice.
Right.
Which is what she's saying, and I think that's awesome.
Well, and again, so back to the bringing it back to I. Whether that's right or wrong, but bring it back to you, bring it back to me, bring it back to anybody. Like let's even take the altruistic parts out of it and look at do you have dissatisfaction in your daily life and
Absolutely.
what's going on?
Yeah.
Does an event trigger you? Like how many times have you heard that somebody has a heart attack and they're like, okay, now I got to start living healthy. If you would have, maybe not, started living healthy well before that, you may have not gotten to the point where you're at the part where you have the heart attack.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
But complacency and not having that dissatisfaction with your life or health or whatever it is has allowed you to get to that point to where... So you've got the background part of it.
Right.
I keep looking at this. That dissatisfaction can be a constant presence in the background. You didn't have that. You were complacent.
Yep.
And you didn't have that dissatisfaction because everything is great, as far as you know. On the surface, at least.
Yep.
But then a sudden event triggers, this dissatisfaction.
Row.
And I better do something about it now.
Yep.
The life-changing events. They're life-changing because... And guilty of it also, but they're life-changing because you weren't living your life the way that maybe that life-changing event makes you have different perspective.
Absolutely.
And you're like, oh, wow, maybe I should do that because I'm dissatisfied with what I've been doing forever. And something else that she says towards the end is me see if I get this right. The steps to address that deep sense of anger and frustration I felt didn't unfold magically or clearly. That's how the power of dissatisfaction works. It works when you know things can be done better, and it works when you can decide to take risks to bring about that change. So, so that's the dissatisfaction that's in the back. That's the little voice inside your head going, "This isn't right. This isn't right. Something needs to change."
In doing something to change it.
Right. And yeah, yeah. But again, so
I think every small business has been started by that same chain of events in their brain, which is like, I could do this better.
There's got to be a better way.
I'm going to go do it.
Right.
Yeah. Whether you're right or wrong, that's what you get to prove over the next 20 years of your business. But like, I think, yeah, it's a good crux. I mean, that's like important.
Yeah.
On all scales.
Yeah.
Like you're talking personal scales to affecting the world.
Is there anything you're dissatisfied right now in your life?
Lots of things.
Name one.
This podcast. I'm just kidding. No, I mean,
I gotta go.
Yeah, I mean, there's lots of things I'm dissatisfied with. I mean, I have a project right now that I'm not happy with the way it's going, But there you go.
Are you gonna change anything about it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Was it something that's been eating at you for a while, or
it has
something?
been? Yes, absolutely. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. It's just been the communication, the way it's happened. I'm not happy with it, and it's absolutely at a point where I have to decide, like, should I bring this up and have this conversation about, like, hey, communication doesn't happen the way it should.
Right.
Because if I don't, it's going to keep going like it is, And there's a chance that if I bring this conversation up, it's going to stop. Like, I'm not going to work with this person anymore. You know what I mean? Like, So where does it go? But, it's at a point where I'm dissatisfied enough to where we definitely need to have this conversation.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
But I have been paralyzed to take action for several weeks. Just hoping it'll get better, and it hasn't. History proves otherwise.
There's that hoping thing again, right?
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's the shit hitting the fan. It's the...
Well, it's not even, in this case, it's not even the shit has hit the fan. The project got done.
Yeah.
I mean, we're actually done with this project. I'm like done with it. We just invoiced for it. It's awesome. It's that the pattern will repeat itself. We're not being the best we can be. We could do it a lot more efficiently, which means we get to keep more money.
Right.
But I'm not sure this person is committed to actually getting better. And that's the conversation. That's where it's going to go. And I'm honestly, I'm sort of scared of it, because you don't want to lose that client. You don't want to lose that person you work with, whatever it might be.
Right. Are you dissatisfied with yourself for not addressing it sooner?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Should have nipped it in the bud.
Right.
Like Barney Fife says, nip it in the bud. Nip it. Got to nip it. You got to nip it. You don't like Andy Griffith references?
I do.
Okay.
I'm seeing him in my head as
you gotta nip it, Andy. No, like, I mean, that, yeah. So whenever you miss an opportunity like that and you let it sort of fester for a little while and you're like, shit, what did I do it for?
Yeah. But so I'm kind of wondering if the dissatisfaction comes from, I mean, how much of it is external, how much of it is internal?
I will tell you one of the reasons why I'm not ready to, why I haven't been, I'm going to have this conversation next week. Why I haven't been ready to have this conversation is because I wasn't prepared for them to say, well, you did X, Y, Z and it sucked. Haven't been prepared for that yet.
Yeah.
And that's probably why it's been holding me up.
Yeah. Because hard conversations are hard.
Yeah, I mean, it's always external. It's like, you guys do this,
Yeah.
And they might be like, well, I did that because you forgot to do X, Y, and Z.
Yeah.
You're like, well, shit. That's not what I wanted to hear,
So I tried to admit my wrongdoing as soon as I can, and that, I mean,
no, absolutely.
It's hard to
it's
do
like
that.
ownership, right?
Yeah. Yes, it's ownership of any situation.
Yeah, you got to own your problems.
But knowing when to say that to yourself, also knowing when to say that to somebody else, that's an art also, and
yeah,
and
absolutely.
There's never with humans, there's never, until something gets to a certain point and there's an actual event, or, like your event is now the project's over, we might start a new project.
Right. And we probably will.
Yeah.
So.
Right.
Or won't.
And you can take it as, it's the after action review that we do in the military. Like, what did we screw up?
And see, that's a great thing.
Together.
That's a great thing that we're getting off track, but whatever.
Yeah.
The idea of a forum, right? So, like, this podcast is a forum. It's a place where we can talk like this and explore concepts. I think it's important in business, projects, clearly in the military, even in interpersonal relationships, to find a way to have a forum where you communicate.
And you put it all out on the table.
Yeah, and it's not taken personal, and it's not, it's just it might be like a project. The military, I assume the forum is, this is the forum to make things better.
Right.
It's not personal. Don't take it personal. It's not about you, Aaron. This is about us, team, and how do we make the team better. And so inside that safety of the forum, you can say shit.
Right. And because...
And hopefully the opening salvo isn't, well, first off, Aaron's a dick.
Right.
But he is, so what are you going to do about it?
This is true. Because in the heat of the moment, when you're trying to make a decision on the fly or anything like that, because, best laid plans... as soon as you hit contact, there's a saying for this.
No plan survives first contact with the enemy,
exactly.
sir.
So you have to adapt, overcome all the above, and you're going to screw up. The AAR should be, and it's not always, it can be a pointing fingers thing.
Well, I'm sure it devolves into that a lot of times.
Exactly.
Especially when you're dealing with like 21-year-olds.
But it should be younger than that.
If you're a 21-year-old and you listen to this, deal with it.
We love you.
Deal with it.
Exactly. It should be an objective look on, okay, here's where I screwed up. Here's where I feel like you screwed up. Here's where, if it's here's where the client screwed up. Here's how. And it's not to say you're a bad person.
Right.
It's to say these were parts of the system that failed.
Yeah, this is how we handle things.
And we have to address it.
Right.
And everybody has their part in the success. Everybody has their part in the failure. Even if the project got done or the mission got done, that there's always going to be successes and failures in it.
There will be.
Right. And so, yes, an AAR should be as objective as possible, and if you can go into it, maybe that's how you do it too, and not like, hey, you really sucked on this. We should have done it this way.
Right.
Yeah, I know I should. I screwed up too, but that's not what's important now. If you take it in that vein, it could go sideways. But if you take it as a listen, let's. I tried to start with, hey, is there anything that you saw that we could have done better? Start it with that.
Nope. Well, I did.
Yeah, exactly. And somebody that you want to continue to work with,
right,
should go, yeah, there are some things that I was not pleased with what I did. Right. And so I should have done. And so you might find that person.
Yeah, they have the same vibe you do.
Exactly.
Yeah, absolutely.
And then you go, I noticed that, but it probably, and then it probably came from when I didn't do this because the customer did this. Yep. And so, maybe we should look for that next time.
Absolutely.
And so there's a way to take it as objectively as possible, but also, sometimes asking questions as opposed to putting something out.
I like that tact.
Yeah. That's what I'm here for.
That's good, man.
Yeah.
You're here for tact?
No, I'm definitely not.
Tact stands for tactical.
Yes.
I figured that out a while back. I always thought it stood for tacky. I had it backwards in my head.
It's awesome.
All right. On that note, That was the last on our list of things to cover.
Bing, bing.
If you have anything you want to share with us or complain about,
if you want to criticize us,
we don't care.
Yeah.
And until next time, we will see you. All right.
I gotta go pee.